Well, it looks like about 24 hours since my last shave. Hey guys, open comb, timeless. This is the 68 gap stainless steel with the knurled handle. Very nice and grippy. This is my Declaration Grooming B5 hammer and chisel handle. And I've been soaking it a little bit. It doesn't require a lot, just a few minutes. Some people just a few seconds of running underwater before the shave is all they do. And if that works for you, then great. And I'm going to be putting, as you can see, the dots here. We've got 9. So today is kind of a mini milestone of 210 uses on this Nacet. We've got dots on the back to indicate shaves as well as on the front. Finally, my puzzle arrived yesterday. Declaration Grooming Puzzle 2019. I can't describe the scent because this is a scent guessing contest. That may be hard for me not to do here on the video. We'll see how it goes. I've already tried to jot down a few of the scents as I've put the splash on yesterday a little bit. And here is the associated splash. Now, I'm sorry, let me not quite jerk that away super quickly. What he did this time when delivering the splash, and I think maybe he's going to start doing this on a regular basis, he includes a tiny vial of menthol drops. I love that because I don't like menthol. And so I've got Dirtyver as a Declaration Grooming splash, but it's got that kind of menthol in it. It's a little bit more than I like, but I like the scent so much that I tolerate it. And I've had to sell several splashes because they had menthol in them, and so I get to ignore that little menthol guy. If I ever want to put some in, I could put in 1 drop and have just a small amount instead of enough to kind of make my eyes water and all that stuff. This is a brand new puck of soap, as you would imagine, and this was an exclusive for the Reddit wet shaving sub. And this is the Milksteak base. And so I weighed it, and oh man, what did I say it was? 188. $158 without the top. So 158. Alrighty. 30-second load and 3 teaspoons of water is what I'm going to shoot for, because that was my last best kind of scenario using the Milksteak base. Is that exact? Absolutely not, but it's a starting point. Okay, so puzzle, pretty cool logo, artwork, that sort of thing. So whoever gets the closest to guessing the different scent notes in this scent is going to get a pretty cool, pretty awesome, legendary brush from Declaration Grooming. So I'm going to do my best. We'll just do what we can. Going to be a bunch of losers and one winner, so but we'll try. All right. So the blade is the Nacet, just to show you that guy. And then here's the little X down here that marks my marathon Nacet. And just for grins, just for scientific curiosity, I have not changed the orientation of this blade. The X is always toward the bottom of the razor, toward the handle. And so it's always cutting on the same side of the 2 edges. I don't know if that's going to make a difference at all. All right. So a little splash of water on my face. As usual, I have hard water and it's chilly today. I will be bringing in a little bit of warm on occasion to bring it up to room temperature instead of having it quite be so frigid. All right, so let's do that 30-second load. I'm going to shake a good bit of the water out of the brush. You might do it differently. You might leave a bunch of water in the brush. That's fine, totally fine. All right, 50 rolled around right there. So we'll go to the 20 mark. Really like the scent. I'll say that much. I like it. And I've discovered that there are some scents that I really like to use as a soap, but I don't like to wear as an aftershave. And I think I probably like both in this case. All right, so that is what 30 seconds of loading looks like. And I believe this is a 24 millimeter brush. Roger Quintero lather bowl, 3D printed. If you like to print one of your own, if you have a printer or access to one, the files are available via a link in my video description. I may need to go back for more since this is an unused soap. It's not stirring up very much lather right away, but let's just add some water. This is good because over the last 4 days I've been using Bear Stearman Reserve. Previous to this, it was one of my favorite bases because of the silky feel I got on my face, and I did get that, and it gave me great shaves. However, it didn't really have as good of a finger feel to me, and I was experimenting with ways to try to improve that over the last 4 shaves. And so with that knowledge, I may see that I like Milksteak better than the Reserve. Went ahead and added another teaspoon, so I've got 2 in there now. I thought it suitable. My first try with the Declaration Grooming soap, I would use a Declaration Grooming knot. Been using Boars lately, and all the ones in the regular Borathon rotation have had 20 uses on them now. I started that so long ago, but as you imagine, I think I have 8 in the rotation, and so 20 times 8, 160. So, you know, a little less than half a year it took to get all those boars to this point. But it's been really enjoyable watching the changes. Okay, the 2 teaspoons of water have definitely amplified the lather here. Let's go ahead and put 3 in there, and then we'll see if that is will bring the viscosity to where I like it. B5, if you're unfamiliar with Declaration Grooming brushes, it's batch 5. He's up to batch 9 right now. And each batch has distinct properties. Some of them are very rare and hard to get. Some of them have, when they have really kind of struck oil and found a good following. Oh yeah, that feels good. When they certain batches have found a really good following, those are especially hard to get. I see the B3 on sale pages a good bit. The B6 and B7 are sometimes available on the used market. Don't see too many B5s anymore. It's kind of a unique batch that had nice loose backbone compared to the others. Most of the others are still quite stiff. Regarding backbone, most of them have nice soft tips, but the backbone is different with the B5s. The B6 was similar with just a little bit more backbone. And the 7, I think, kind of continued along that trend. They are expensive and hard to get if you want to actually buy the brush from his website. They sell out just almost immediately, but what you can do is buy your own handle, ship him the handle, and there's not really there's not a waiting list or anything like that. You'll get it, he'll get it, and then do it when he can, and probably in a couple of months you'll have, you know, a brush. Many regard them as the best brushes in the industry, but I think they are, if you like a firm backbone, then I think they are probably one of the best in the industry. I like a little bit more, a little less backbone, and so that's why this B5 is unique. It's lofted a little higher than his standard B5, and so it hits it right where I want. And so I was quick to snatch this up because I could see in the image that the loft was a little higher. Water on my face. A little bit of the, in terms of the scent strength, I can talk about that. A little bit of it came up and kind of let my nose know it was there. Super crazy soft tips with this brush. Also, over the next few weeks, I'll be able to use I think I'll use this Milksteak and kind of plot how quickly I use it up. I'll weigh it before each use. Well, if you want a soft face experience, this brush and this lather are the way to go. And I can see how there are definitely people who maybe don't like variety, and they might just experience this and then not want to do anything else. I'm curious if maybe I need to add a little bit more water. So one thing I can do is gradually add water to the brush, and you watch what happens to your face and the side of the brush here. If you see lather starting to increase in either of those places, then you know that the soap is fine with adding more water, and you know, have a pretty good ratio, and you know, it's not underwatered. Man, this is crazy soft. It's not exponentially increasing, so this might be about the right consistency for the Milksteak. There's no scritch or scratch at all on this brush. Just soft. Okay. A little bit of scent, not a strong scent. I mean, the reason I wouldn't want to describe the scent is to give a fellow contestant an upper hand, but I mean, there's some obvious things that they're going to know, like, is it a strong scent or is it not? So I don't have a problem saying some of those things. All right. So over the next couple of weeks, I can focus on getting the Milksteak base, you know, dialed in really well. I'm getting good glide right here. Now this blade is a little tuggy since it's so old, and so I probably won't remark too much about protection, though it does look like it's doing its job nicely. Not going to be too concerned since it's old with getting a majority of the hairs on the first pass. Just hopefully, reducing the stubble. And then the next pass and the next pass after that will take care of anything without a problem. Starting out pretty easy going with trying to stay as with the grain as possible. Sometimes hard on your neck. A lot of guys have swirly areas on their neck. All right, rinse. Okay, so this has slick feel, really nice finger texture, viscosity, a creaminess to it, even when it's wet. Reserve is, in my last experiments, not quite as creamy in your fingers. It feels great on your face, and I loved putting it on my face after the shave. It made my face feel good, and it protected the skin really well. And so in that sense, it never lost any ground, but the finger feel just wasn't as, you have to add a certain amount of water to it to kind of make it really turn into a creamy lather. And by the time you add that water, it's kind of quite wet. Man, that's a dream brush right there. It just feels so soft. Soft with backbone is a nice combo, and I think that's why a lot of people gravitate toward the 2-band or finest badgers. And here's a difference between the two. 2-band, 3-band. Both are badgers, and you can see why. 1-band, 2, 3 bands, colors. 2-band. I mounted this one very high. If this was mounted in the standard depth, you wouldn't really see very much of this little white band down here. So you'd mainly just see 1, 2 bands. And so it's involved, the reason the different colors is because it's different locations on the badger. And so those hairs have different properties. The finest badger have the 2 bands. Have more backbone. The silver tip or the 3-band have less. The finest badger, the tips often are not as soft as the 3-band, and so many people who process those hairs will take the 2-band hairs and bleach the tips, and that will weaken them a little bit. So that they become softer. And so some people like this best of both worlds, super soft tips with nice backbone to focus those tips at your face. All right, let's put on pass number 3. And yeah, 30 seconds of loading seems to have gotten me plenty of lather for 3 passes, and might just be kind of the perfect amount of lather for me. I don't have a lot of extra in the bowl. Consistency of this lather seems pretty much perfect, so it did take a little bit more water. Total 4 teaspoons into the lather. And yeah, we can go ahead and do the 3rd pass. Cross grain on my cheeks again. I don't really do against the grain. Nice and comfy. Tiny bit of tugging on that first pass. I don't know when this blade is going to quit. Before I, like once it is consistently, uncomfortable or not as efficient, not as close cutting as I want it to be. With this razor, I will maybe cycle it through some of my other razors just to see if the geometry of the other ones might be what it needs to keep going. We'll see. So excellent slightness with the razor. Wonderful feel in the fingers. Nice feel on the face. Smooth, luxurious, slick rinses. This may be one of my favorite bases. I'll have to compare it to Icarus as well. I definitely put Excelsior in the running, and definitely Bison from Declaration Grooming a couple of iterations ago. I really like that one. I need to do a base off, and I'll make a bracket or something like that, and that'll have to come later after this puzzle game. All right. This is one of those that has post-shave properties to it, and so some guys are taking it after the shave and using their excess lather to just kind of wash their face with it, leave it on for a little while to condition your skin. I'm not quite like that usually. All right, we've got a reasonable cut right here, a nice close shave, so I'm happy with that. I definitely was shaving off more hairs on the third pass than often I get to, but that's all right. Here's how much lather I had left. I could definitely put together a pass based off of this, because as you can see, the brush is kind of thick, and so there's all kinds of good lather inside there if I needed to use it. So I'm happy with that. This lather also has kind of those micro bubbles that some of the other ones have had, but it just doesn't give you that same kind of wet feel. There's more of the slickness to it, slightly thicker viscosity that is not a watery slickness, but a good creamy one. All right, so there's the rinse. Now the aftershave. Oh, so thankful that he is separating the menthol now. Now I don't know if he only is doing it for this particular release for the people competing, or if he's going to start doing it with his other aftershaves. And it's very possible, and I rarely order an aftershave. It's very possible that I would buy a couple of his aftershaves if he's going to do that, because it's very rare. So many people with an alcohol splash add a little bit of menthol to it because it's a popular option, but it's not for me. All right, so that, my friends, completes my 10 dots across the top. 210 uses on this blade, and I'll have to figure out where I want to start counting for the next 10. How about that? As long as I shave every day with the blade, then it's only a little bit of tugging at this point, and I can keep going. So it looks like my ratio today of 30-second load with 4 teaspoons of water was just right for this particular brush. And of course that is going to vary probably per brush. Small brush versus larger brush. Also stiff brush versus floppy brush. Floppy's not going to pick up as much soap, so it may need a little bit more load time. Maybe just 5 seconds more, maybe 10 seconds more, but a stiff brush is going to need less load time. It's always flexible. All right, well, we're done. I'm enjoying the scent. I am cleaned up. So there we go. If you're curious about Milksteak, hopefully this showed you how to lather it. I felt like the lather was very good. I think it's a good example of a solid Milksteak lather that was creamy and wet at the same time. Gave excellent protection. I could go just a little bit wetter if I wanted to, but it was very, very nice lather. I'm very happy with that one. All right. Well, this is Sugar Daddy Shaves, and until we'll see you next time. Hope there was something here for you. Take care.